to Wales. Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Foderingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, the Dauphin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dauphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Yes, Mick put the wrong intro on. We probably need to what we need to do is just delete that from our menu.
Yeah,
probably. Although it reminds us of a time when Rotherham weren't so rubbish, which is nice. But anyway, we'll talk about it.
I didn't even realise that was the wrong one. Plodding along.
buttons, that's the thing. That's the
We've got another game to talk about. We've got another step backwards in the season to talk about as well. Not quite chaos in London, but certainly not positivity. Yeah, stop looking for negatives. Look at it objectively. Mick, how are you doing?
yeah, I'm here. You know, that's what, I'm here. I've turned up.
Okay.
Do you need more from me?
Yeah. How's Tom?
I'm all good. Yeah, I've turned up. I'm all good.
Yes, good. I'm glad you three are with us. I'm glad loads of people in the comments are already with us. We have Martin Holland's with us. Paula Rhodes with us, says she left Rotherham at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, got back at 1:30 a.m. A crappy ground with turnstiles from the 20s. Don't even ask about the ladies lose. And then Steve Evans has a strop. She has an unbelievable arrogance. We will talk about it all. Richard, evening all. There are no words. Well, we're going to have to find them for this podcast. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a very good podcast. There's quite a lot to talk about tonight. And we are going to be as careful as we possibly can because Steve Evans is still with us. Steve Evans is manager of Rotherham United. But there are issues that we need to talk about from the game on Tuesday night, performance-wise and off-field-wise as well. Let's start at the end with the post-match because I feel like we just need to get out of the way and get talked about and other stuff. Tom, our group chat was once the game normally finishes, our group chat kind of dies out a little bit because we've all kind of just sat at home getting annoyed with ourselves. About 10:30, it kind of lit back up with the post-match interview that Steve Evans did. Really, really poor. Really, really. I tweeted awful. I just think he's a man under pressure, and that is a man under pressure. If you want to see an example of a man under pressure, that's the video that will tell you. Isn't it?
Yeah, and I think. God, I was going to say originally because we all knew that this was going to come up. Originally, I was going to say, look, he said that he didn't act in an appropriate manner. Let's just leave it. And you know, I thought that might be the easiest way to combat this, but it has to be said that it was just. I mean, there's right and wrong people to go after, right? And what he said is that it was tense in the dressing room and he came out and projected that onto the reporter and probably shouldn't have done. His lack of apology is still appalling, in my opinion. He should apologise, not publicly, that's fine, but directly to him, he should apologise and say, look, that wasn't good from me, blah, blah, blah. That's what should happen. We all know passion gets the better of some people. You know, Mick can go for hours about certain, perhaps not as rude, but look, what I was going to say is it does happen to all of us, and we can all understand that people get too passionate. But there's a time and a place, and it's not in front of a reporter asking you a question about, you know, what needs to happen, what needs to change until you're happy with something along the lines of that. Until you're happy with, you know, the squad being at its best. And he goes on to mention 4 big players in McCart, Clark Harris, Raggett, and I assume the 4th one is Kelly because he mentioned him in that rant. Look, if they're 4 big players, then that's another issue in itself. But the way that he went about complimenting himself due to his what he did at Stevenage was tough. What he did, how he dug out Humphreys, which look, we've been through the ringer with managers outing players in public, and it's never ended well. Whether or not he deserved it, I don't know, and I don't care. But it doesn't get said in public. And then going on to say that Zach Jules has very personal issues that shouldn't be disclosed publicly, and then stating what the issues were. I think it was an absolute car crash of not only in an interview, but a car crash of the mental state of a person that is clearly, like you say, under the cosh. And look, there's no reason to, in my opinion, there's no reason to dwell on how obnoxious he was. I think we should really focus more on how bad we were. Because if we've only got an hour, we can talk for an hour and a half about how bad we were, let alone another hour and a half about how bad that interview was. So, in my opinion, I think it was one of the worst interviews I've ever heard. And he's rightfully come out and said it wasn't appropriate. He should still apologise, but it was just one of the most unprofessional. I personally was so annoyed every time I watch it. I
watched it back 2 or 3 times.
I know. Just to get me more riled up, I watched it again, and it just really, it did. It's horrendous, and he deserves a full apology. Does Adam Oxley, because he did a fantastic job in that interview.
Yeah, he did. I think as a journalist, I'm sure he doesn't need anybody on Twitter to kind of sticking up for him. I thought he did a really, really professional job. He didn't kind of bite to that. We've seen in the past reporters bite to a manager biting, and it becomes really messy and horrible. All the questions were perfectly reasonable, and all questions, if we were there in his place, we'd have asked the same questions, which I'm pleased with. Harry, 2 different points. Harry says he showed his passion, but the wrong person had to have a go at. Mark Gamble says he lost his temper for no reason, slammed a player in public, took credit for Stevenage doing it on Saturday. He is supposed to be professional. It is a shambles.
Can I quickly say, I actually take back that it was passionate. I think it was egotistical. I think it was a very egotistical interview. And I think his ego was bruised when someone said, "Why isn't it as good as you think it is?" And I think his ego was bruised, and he absolutely attacked whoever said that. And I think passionate and egotistical are a very fine line. I think he's very passionate about himself, which is fine if it works. But it gave me a lot of Nathan Jones vibes, and I don't think Nathan Jones is a great person to be compared to when he's going off the rails like that.
Fair. I think he was angry. I think we've all lost his heads, and we've all lost heads. We've all got angry. We don't have to get interviewed in public as a general rule. Straight after. Let's compile a load of Mick post-match reactions just together. Yeah. We should put out, if call that Cam Humphreys. We when Matt Taylor called out all those players back in the day, we criticised Matt Taylor pretty heavily at the time as well, because we don't think it should be something that should be played out in public. Other people have a different view to that, which I suppose is fine. But for me, that should stay in the house, or at least named anyway. Mick, Tom's right. We need to talk about football, but it's not the first time this season we're having this conversation. We had the same conversation on day one at Exeter, or similar kind of. It wasn't for different reasons, but again, a car crash of a post match. Maybe you should just stop doing them.
Well, I thought about this a lot today about what I wanted to say about it, and I've gone from having a full blown effing and jeffing rant about how annoyed I were about it to trying to be objective and professional about it, and I can't do the first one for obvious reasons, and I'm really struggling to do the second one. It was from a man who told us 4 weeks ago how professional he is. It was probably one of the most unprofessional Football League managers interviews I've ever seen, and the most disappointing part about it is that manager was wearing a Rotherham United badge on his shirt. That sort of behaviour is essentially coming from, I'm not going to use the word leader because I don't think that's appropriate in the situation, but coming from the manager of our football club, I'm just embarrassed. I think my overriding feeling has gone through anger because there's no point being angry about it. It's just not worth wasting that sort of emotion on it. It's just embarrassment. And you know, he talked today in his pre-match for Stevenage about it being passion. It's got nothing to do with passion, his behaviour the other night. Nothing to do with passion, because if it was, the words that he would have used, the content of what he said would have been completely different. But it's a man who's, we've said, it's been said by many people from many clubs, supporters of many clubs who've commented on that interview, that he is under pressure and he can't handle it. He clearly can't handle it because his ego won't allow him to do that. That's what I take from that interview. It's sad. It's just sad. It's sad that our football club is being represented in this way in public. You know, what would have happened if he'd been asked an awkward question? He'd have probably smacked him. You know, he was livid, Evans, and he was livid because he knows that these sorts of performances reflect on him, and that's why he's angry, because he clearly can't do anything about it, because these performances are continuing week after week. They may change, and listen, I am so desperate for him to change. I want Steve Evans to be a success. Let me get that absolutely out there now. There is no way on this earth that I want him to fail. I do not. I want him to be a success, because if he's a success, my club's a success. But I genuinely don't believe he's got the tools to do it. He may have had in the past. He's had limited success in the past, and it has been limited. You know, he's not head and shoulders above every other manager in the league. He's had limited success, as have most of the managers. He's nothing special in that respect, in reality. And you know, so I want him to continue to have that with us, but I just don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got the tools in his locker to do anything that doesn't involve projecting his own image and making himself look good. You know, all these interviews, whatever happens, they all come back to him ultimately, and how good he is, or what he's done in the past, or who he knows, or whatever. You know, it's not about the game. It's not about the team. It's not about the club ultimately, the subject matter. It just fits bits and pieces of that in his interviews. But Tuesday night was just, like I said, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I don't know what else to say without really laying into him. And I don't want to do that. We've done that in the past on this podcast. Me particularly, I've really laid into him. And it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help us as a podcast. It doesn't help the club. It doesn't help the manager. It doesn't help the team. It doesn't help the supporters. But the frustrations are out there. The frustrations are growing, and there's more and more supporters feeling the same way. And this sort of behaviour, because that's what it is, it's just poor behaviour, does not help in any way whatsoever. And if you imagine he's like that with the press in public to the people who are supposedly supporting him and backing him, what is he going to be like with the players? You know? And as for calling commentaries out, I called Matt Taylor out for it when he did it. It's unacceptable. You don't do that in public. It is unacceptable, in my view. So, you know, that just kind of put tin out on it. I don't know what to say other than that. It's just, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. Robert A says, I think the interview was edited as well. If you watched it on the YouTube channel from Rotherham United, yes, it was edited. That was a short, and there was about a minute less. So if you want to, the full one is on Football Heaven's Twitter page or their BBC Sounds or whatever it is that they do it through. If you haven't listened to it, you absolutely should go and listen to the full interview.
Is the full interview where it ends by saying, "Oh, what does he say?" I can't remember now, but it ends quite abruptly anyway.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute interview. The one that's on social media. I think that is the full one.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to cover it just because we've had comments. Mark Gamble says, evening all, I'm going early. He says Evans out. And we have Harry saying, overall thoughts, he's going to make, but I'm going to come to you, Tom, first. Evans, is it enough time for you? My view on this is, again, we discussed this on the chat. For me, no. Evans, there's no way, it's not time at all for a change of manager. You're 13 games in, you're only 5 points off the playoffs. I know we're close to the relegation zone and it's not been a good start, but there's still only 13 games in. While ever we're in touch and within shooting distance of the playoffs, I don't think there's any need for a knee-jerk reaction. Bear in mind, and I accept everything that's bad and rubbish about the football club and the football team at the minute, but we're still well within the shout of anything. We're only 2 or 3 games away from back in contention second. I know that's unlikely, but that's the reality of it. Now, come back to me in a month's time once we've lost to Stevenage, lost to Barnsley, and lost to Crawley, then we will be having a different conversation. But right now, I don't think it's time for a change of manager, even bearing in mind everything we just mentioned. Tom, where do you sit on it?
I don't know, and I agree with the comment that we said earlier. In that, if this isn't short term, then Evans isn't long term, and I still stick by that, because if we want to progress long term, I think we said it, didn't we? In that every manager we've had that looks to, I saw this somewhere, but every manager that we've had, the only ones that have looked long term haven't stuck around that long, because I don't think they get the proper investment and they just know they won't. And then it goes back to the chairman. But I can't see Evans working for another 4 or 5 years. So it's funny, right? Because you either keep him on for a season or two and see what happens. But if we finish mid-table this season, mid-table next season, he's not gonna build for the future. Whereas if you bring in a young manager now, and I'm not saying like this is going to happen, but if we would have got Revell instead of Evans, you could be looking at a 40-year-old manager. I don't know how old he is, late 30s, early 40s, that has a style of play, has an affiliation with the club, like a Warren, that can be around for the next 5 or 6 years and build for the future. And that was the best thing for us, was having someone who you knew was going to be who was going to be there for the future. One of the first things that both Taylor and Richardson said were the foundations of the club aren't strong enough. And that was so true, because you could see the cracks had been papered over by Warren, and they're being papered over again by Stuart's best mate. I don't see, without proper both managerial, financial and development, long-term planning, how this is sustainable. And if that means Evans is the right guy, sure, keep him. But personally, I can't see him finishing in another 5 or 6 years, taking this club from A to B, with B leading to C, if that makes sense. I can see him leading us from A potentially to B, but then when we get to B, I can't see us going anywhere further than that. And B is even the playoffs. I can't see us progressing, because if we go up under him, I don't know what happens. I mean, we saw Wrexham the other day, and this isn't not digging out Wrexham again, but they're second. If they play like that in the Championship, they'll get found out. And that's not to say that it doesn't work in League One, because it does. We've seen it works in League One, the kind of rough and tumble tactics and being able to really frustrate an opponent. That works, and that's really efficient, and credit to them. If they finish second, they deserve it. But if you do that in the Championship, like the football that we play, it's not going to work. And that's what really that's where the decision lies, is what do we do now? Do we get rid of Evans and bring in a 30-year-old nobody's heard of from Brentford, or do we Jack Wilshere's just gone to Norwich, do we do something like that? I know he's a first team coach and all, but it's just I have to agree and say we have to stick it out with him, for better or for worse. You've made an agreement, and this is the agreement, is that whatever you get with Evans is what you're going to get. We can't do anything about it now, because nobody's going to want to come either. Foundations are all cracked. whoever wants to come in and change it doesn't have the backing to do so. Players aren't going to want to come to a manager to be with a manager who isn't really, what's the word, experienced, or what's the word I'm looking for? Established. So I don't know. I just think we've got to stick with him for better or for worse, and just see what happens. We're all along for the ride now.
We're here. We're all in. As you'd expect, there's a variety of opinions. Adam is saying Evans' methods are outdated. It's not 2012 anymore. Football's moved on. He needs to stop harping back to when to what that was. The treatment that doesn't warrant any special treatment. Chris Taylor says that when the other team play their games, and we could be more than 5 points behind everybody else. Chris Page saying don't need playoffs or a fluke promotion. We need years of stability or rebuilding.
Yeah.
Rob A said this is a short-term, long-term, doesn't work in the lower leagues because if they're success, they're off. He says he can see him finishing off like he finished at Peterborough. Michael Miller says there is no chance this team under this manager will progress much higher than this league. How many more defeats, lackluster performances do we have to endure in the hope that things will improve? Chris Sanderson says need to stick. He says took Evans 20-odd games to click first time round and same for Warren. Still backing us to compete. He says around the playoffs. So this. I just want to tag on to that. We've had a few people in the past say that, but Warren's first season under us was as bad as this. This is the worst start to a third-tier campaign since 1996. If you don't remember 96-97 season, ask your mum and dad, because that wasn't a very good season. But this is worse than it ever was under Warren or Evans' first time around as well. After 13 games, Mick, it's difficult, isn't it? Because something that this club's been crying out for, and the RUFC keeps mentioning correctly on Twitter, is kind of intimate, and we need stability. And this football club is crying out for some stability. We as fans are absolutely desperate for stability. So from that point of view, you go, right, okay, we know it's not working, but we've got to stick with you because this club needs stability. You've done it in the past. We can see you've done it in the past. The relationship's there between the chairman and Steve Evans. So you're going, right, okay, let's stick. Let's try and hope for the best. Hope it works out because I'm desperate just kind of some stability to build upon. But I don't know what you think.
Let me put a scenario to you. I don't know how much truth, if any, there is in this. But I would argue, or it could be argued, that we're in the insidious position where the chairman of the football club and the manager come as a package. And the chairman will not get rid of the manager because the chairman was the one who did whatever it took to bring this manager in, including taking 3 weeks to appoint somebody different because the board or other people in the decision-making process didn't agree with him. He's got his own way. And I don't think, or there's an argument to say that he will not get rid of him. So, and if he does get rid of him, I'm not convinced that he would support another manager. He didn't support the last one in any way. So we're in that position now where we can't really get rid of him. I don't see how we can get rid of him. Because if anybody else were to come in, and I think we'd really struggle to appoint anybody, I'm not convinced that they would have the support of the chairman. I might be wrong. Obviously, I don't know the bloke. I know nothing of him. It's pure speculation. But it feels to me that they are a package, and if one goes, both go. I don't think that's an option, do you? The chairman, thankfully, from all of us, is still bankrolling the club. He's still keeping the club afloat out of his own money, and we will be forever, ever grateful for that. But unfortunately, in my view, he's made a massive mistake with this, and I don't think he's the type of bloke, we've said it in the past, to accept the responsibility for mistakes. I think he'll continue to run with it. So I don't think it's time. I don't think it's the right time for the football club at the moment to do it. I just want some sort of professionalism in there and some sort of ability to change things when things aren't going well and to recognise that things aren't going well. And we don't seem to even have that. We don't seem to have, and we go back to the interview the other night, there's no acknowledgement whatsoever that things aren't working. We just come out on the front foot punching anybody that complains, essentially, metaphorically, punching anybody that moans about it. So I just feel that we're in a horrible position at the moment, and I still want him to turn it around. I still hope he turns it around, like I've said, but I personally don't think he will. I hope he does. I think that the supporters who've been around the block a few times will understand that there's a strong likelihood, or it feels to me there's a strong likelihood that we are going to have a few seasons of mid-table, bottom-end League One for a while until things off the pitch are sorted out. And if that's with Evans, it's with Evans, I suppose, and we'll just have to put up with the 2 or 3 weekly rants and moans and as how good he is, and we might get a few wins out of it. I don't know, it's a depressing view, to be honest with you, but at the moment I don't see a way out of where we are, so I don't think that that it's time for him to go now.
Fair enough. Just remember that anybody who thinks Steve Evans haters, we all said we think he should stay. So
it's tough because particularly in this environment that we're in now, this goes out on social media, and if you have a different opinion to somebody, you're an idiot. There's no in between, there's no debate or anything like that. And it's difficult because we all want the same thing. All the supporters all want exactly the same thing. We all want our football team and our football club to be successful. But, there are so obviously issues on the pitch and clearly off the pitch that we don't know about. We're not going to be privy to, and I just don't see it changing. I just don't see it changing at all, personally.
The question I always come back to when looking at Evans personally is if Matt Taylor or Liam Richardson were in this situation, would they be under fire here? And the answer's inevitably yes, isn't it?
If this wasn't Steve Evans or Paul Warne or somebody like Ronnie, I think Tuesday would have been the final straw.
I don't know about final straw because I think you said it, Matt. We'd had 2 decent games beforehand, which isn't the be all and end all. But Wrexham and the first half of Peterborough were all right, and we're on the right lines. And then Tuesday was just pathetic, and it's similar to Taylor's. Well, the end of Taylor's downfall, right? It was that Wednesday game, which was similar to that game. Two relegation sides going at it, and that's what it was. It was a relegation battle. Whether or not we actually are by the end of the season be 2 relegation threatened sides is yet to be seen. But that game was an absolute relegation dogfight from what I watched, and Richardson and Taylor would both be gone. But like Mick was saying, we've got to stick with him. We've got to stick with him because any other manager with a brain sees how he treated Richardson and said, look, he's absolutely got next season to win me over. Nobody's going to come in, this, that, and the other. Oh, my best mate's available. Right, let's bring him in. Off you go. You get sacked for being like, I can't defend that. I just think it's people use the word rotten, and I think it's potentially just maybe not quite rotten, but from back to front, there's something wrong, and it needs to be sorted out from top to bottom. It needs to be sorted out. Don't know what happens, but until we figure out what should happen, we can't change anything. This is how it is.
Yeah. From the football side of things, the club's not in a great place at the minute. Absolutely not. There's other parts of the club, which Commit Sports Trust and places like that, which are functioning really, really well. But from a football side of things, the football club is really struggling at the minute. It has been for the last 18 months or so. Comment.
Yeah, I mean, Phil's in the comments. Who I mentioned it. We spoke in before the Wrexham game, and he's just asking if we give a new manager the same scrutiny. And yeah, I mean, Matt Taylor got it. Matt Taylor got it both barrels quite a few times. Not so much the next manager, but Warney got it as well. You know, at times, not as much as Steve Evans. I wouldn't argue that at all. But in terms of being open to criticism, you know, Steve Evans is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? You know, because he and I say that slightly tongue in cheek, but he is, because of his personality and the way he behaves and the way he presents himself. You know, he opens himself up for it. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we all do as supporters. We all scrutinise the manager and look at the success or otherwise that they're having. Phil saying they were given more than 13 games.
How many games did Stubbs get?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think Phil's talking specifically about us as a podcast. I'm not convinced Matt Taylor had many more before he started getting the stick. But yeah, I do get where people are coming from, and I personally think at times we've gone in hard on Steve Evans, but like I said, he is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he?
If you think we're going to have Steve Evans, just go back and watch the episode after the Sheffield Wednesday game last season, where Tom and Kev were on, giving Matt Taylor both barrels. I think it's contrary to popular belief, we are actually fair on managers. I think Paul Warren got a free pass from all of us because he's a hero of ours. But Matt Taylor and Rishan got exactly the same as what we're giving Steve Evans. For me, I whatever. Anyway, that's getting into us rather than the actual stuff that's important in it. And
yeah,
people will complain about what they want to complain about. Should we talk about football? Actual ball stuff.
There's not much to talk about, is there?
To be fair, no. I should say thanks to Steve Evans for giving such a horrible interview, for giving us something to talk about for 20 minutes.
Like I said, the gift that keeps on giving.
It's also reported, by the way, technicality. He's had 16 games, Steve Evans, because he had 3 games last season. But anyway, it was a 1-0 defeat, Tom. And it's weird because Steve Evans said today there was only one change. Lynn Kelly came back in. Oh, well, 2 changes because obviously Jamie McCart got injured, but there was one scheduled change. And in theory, that should make us a better team because Lynn Kelly's a really, really good player. But everything was off. There was no width. We were getting beaten in the wide areas, contrary to what Steve Evans was saying. They looked better than us in the first half. We were somehow getting overrun at times in the midfield as well. It was just, I don't think it was bad as the Cambridge performance, but it was not far off as bad as anything else we've had this season. It was a really, really poor start against a team that were there for the taking. Their confidence were on floor, weren't it?
That's the most underwhelming thing you've said all day, Matt. Their confidence was rock bottom, and they passed it round us like we were children. Like it was men versus boys, and that is saying something because they hadn't won all season at home, and we go out there and play like we haven't won in the past 6 years, and it was absolutely. I mean, we speak every single time we don't win about how much we need width, and believe it or not, Wrexham and Peterborough we had width and we played all right. We didn't win either game, but there was progress. He has the option to play 2 wingers, doesn't play either, and he's just trying to shoehorn Kelly into that side. The worst part about that is that with 4 midfielders, 3 of them, arguably 4 of them, being defensive-minded midfielders, you'd like to think you win the midfield battle. We got absolutely mesmerised by that number 22. I think it's Galbraith.
A good player, to be fair, Galbraith, yeah.
Yeah. But,
yeah,
United Academy, nobody picked him up. They let him go. He goes to Leyton Orient, and he absolutely ripped us to shreds. Picked up the ball in pockets. He picked up the ball, ran at players. He was... And this isn't just to say that he was great. It's to say how bad we were. And he was good. He was neat. tidy. So was that O'Neill, I think he was. But you know, they had half the midfielders that we had, and they had double the space that we had. It was like it was like watching. And from minute one, I've said that every time I watch us play, it looks like 11 players have been picked up. You know, that PFA team at the start of the year, the agents. It looks like that. It genuinely does. It looks like he's put 11 players and just gone, right, see what you can do. This is your trial. This is your chance to impress someone. And that's what it looked like. Every time Wilkes got the ball, there was no thought other than, right, let me take on my man. Fine, I don't necessarily mind it. But when he's got 3 men in front of him and he can't beat the left back, maybe you need to decide, okay, maybe I need to try something different. Maybe switch sides, maybe do this. There was that the last 30 minutes was so frustrating to watch, because our first thought was, right, let's play it to Wilkes. He pins his man, and then he has a midfielder come across and take it off him. And it's an opposition midfielder come across and take it off him. What do you expect him to do? And not saying he had a good game, because he didn't, and I think he'll be the first to admit it. But I mean, please, if someone can say that they saw any different, but every game I've watched us play badly this season, it just looks like 11 players are just confined to this third of the pitch in the middle where nothing is happening. Every time we get the ball, we look like we're going to lose it because we're not neat enough to play it round the corner and play it 1s and 2s and stuff. The only chance and the only issue that, and the only way that we look threatening is when we get it wide, and we get it wide quick, and we're able to run the channels, get it into the box, cause issues. Nombe is a poacher. Wilkes is a threatening winger. Bramall's not a winger. I mean, I don't mind him. I think he's all right on the wing, but I mean, it's tough when he's not got a right foot and he's not got much skill about him. Because when he gets up against 2 men and he's got the byline next to him, he's got nothing, and that's not that's not a hindrance against him. He's never been a left winger at all. He's not meant to get, the only way that he is good is good for attacking is on an overlap, and that's fine. Having said that, on the other side of the pitch, Rafferty offers no attacking threat at all. Defensively, he's okay, but going forward, he's a liability. Oh my God, I'm gonna keep rambling the whole time. Sorry, I'm really, really sorry.
I'm gonna leave something for Mick to complain about.
No, I know. I'm so sorry. This has been bubbling up for 2 days. If nobody could remember. Oh my God. I'll let Mick talk about the defense and attack. But yeah, that midfield is just, we have 4 players in there who arguably should win that without no threat, because there's half of them in the opposition midfield, and they looked like they hadn't got a clue who to mark, where to be, what to do when they got the ball. It was just, they may as well not have played, and that's surprising when you look at Kelly, Teehee, Odoffin. They're all players who we rate highly and or have been purchased for a large fee. So Powell as well, sorry. But yeah, it's just I'll let Mick talk more now. I'm really sorry. That was a lot.
Scott Kent says it will not change until he changes formation. The stupid diamond. I'm expecting nothing to change on that Saturday. He says, believe it or not, Stevenage are missing 3 of our best players. Yeah, I did a scan report. Spoke to Matt from the Stevenage FC podcast, which is out tomorrow. I enjoyed it, to be honest with you. It was nice to talk about football with somebody. It was a good chat with Matt. I did theirs as well. So check that out tomorrow, because I think it's a good one. Matt the Miller says, hey, look on the bright side. At least you saw an awesome performance from a referee on Tuesday. I thought he had a good game, the American referee. Other people might not agree. I thought it was fine. Oh, yeah, sorry. It was, sorry. Let me put my Steve Evans hat on. Sorry. Right. It was rubbish. It cost us game, and it's all referee's fault. Is that better for you?
No, I didn't say that either, did he? I mean, let's be fair to him.
He didn't, but no.
He did say, yeah.
He was fine. I thought I let the referee let the play flow. Maybe a bit too much, but I prefer that. I'd much prefer that. I like the referee.
I thought he had a good game. I thought he had a really good game. I'd love to know where Steve Evans thinks we should have had a penalty, because I cannot. If anybody in the comments can tell me, I have absolutely no idea what he was talking about there.
No.
He's had a call from PJ Manuel, hasn't he? That's what he said today. He's had a call from head of refereeing saying we should have had a penalty, and saying that Paul Mullins should have been sent off last week for Wrexham.
Sure.
Apparently so. That's what Steve Evans says today. Head of refereeing. Has told him.
He's a waffler.
What I would say, I think Harry has hit the nail on the head. Not that this makes any difference. The free kick that led to the goal wasn't a free kick. Or it certainly didn't appear to be either in real time or on the replays. But that's going to happen. That is going to happen. You can't expect him to get everything right. So I thought he was decent.
I agree.
I thought he was decent.
I thought he was inconsistently consistent. I thought the first 30 minutes he gave nothing to either side, and then there was a period of about 30 minutes where he gave everything to both sides, and then there was a period at the end where he gave nothing to either side again. So I think whether or not they were fouls or weren't fouls, I think he was consistent in that regard. But I think there were some decisions he got wrong, some decisions he got right, but he was consistent. And I think that's all you can ask for, really.
It's one of those performances that I can absolutely live with. He made loads of mistakes, I'm sure he did. But if that was every week, I could live with that as a refereeing performance. Yeah. Because he let the play go a lot of the time, and that's what I'm here for. Anyway, stop praising referees. Get over it. We could have scored a couple of goals, Mick, and that's the frustrating thing. And we're not going to dig at Cam Humphries too much, because even had he got it on target, there was still a guy on post, a goalkeeper, where I think there was something in the back post. So that wasn't as great a chance as it looked. It was still a good chance, but it wasn't as great as what people made out. But then there's a Nombe one, which again is really unlucky. I think he has thrown his body at it, and it's just not enough. And those are the fine margins. Let's be right. If we go 1-0 up against Leyton Orient on Tuesday, we win that game. Because of where confidence is and where I think it puts us, we would have won that game had either of those gone in. But had they gone in, I'd have still been, with the performance-wise, it would have still been frustrating, because there's still bitty chances, not kind of well-worked chances, were they? They were kind of just hopeful crosses into the box and still frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, there were crosses into the box, and unfortunately, we didn't manage to put one of them away. I think the non-base chances you saw kind of skimmed the outside of the post, in it almost. It was very, very close, and it was a great cross from Bramall, fantastic cross from Colin Bramall, but unfortunately, non-base couldn't put it away. The chance for Cam Humphries, I know it's been described as a sitter. It is not a sitter. No. For the reasons being that, one, is a defender. Two, you've got the goalkeeper very, very close to that post, and a player on the post as well. So even if he gets it on target, it's not a tap-in, is what I'm trying to say. But he's got to get it on target. And I think what Cam Humphries has tried to do is put as much power as he possibly can on the header, and consequently mistimed it, and it's gone wide. So it should be in the target even as a defender from there. But a sitter, it is not a tap-in by any stretch of imagination. Other than that, I don't think we created anything, did we?
No.
Poor game, a really poor game.
What I would say is it was a step up from the Cambridge game. Marginally. It wasn't as bad as that. I mean, that was an all-time low, that game, in terms of performance levels. And yet we came out of it with 3 points, bizarrely. But yeah, overall, just poor. And the comment earlier on about the diamond midfield, we've gone back, and you said it, we played with some width at Peterborough, we played with some width against Wrexham at Tom, and it started to look like we were getting a bit of progress, albeit we didn't get anything out of the game after those two games. But then we just reverted back to type again on Tuesday night, and what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know why we can't see this as a management team, why they can't see that it is just not working. We talked about Colin Bramall, and I think Harry said in the comments there, we bought him as a winger, we bought him as a wing back. think, is my understanding, is what he came in as, which is what he's ideal for. You know, he is a wing back. Not brilliant defensively, not brilliant going forward, but in that position, you know, he's effective in both areas. But we've got Humbo on the bench who's hungry and willing to take players on, and we bring a defender on to play on wing. I don't understand, and these are the sorts of questions that I want the manager answering for us as supporters. You know, because we're all asking the same sort of question. It's so obvious that is an issue. Address those. He may well have a perfectly reasonable, perfectly rational explanation as to why that decision keeps being made. But we will never find out. You know, we never find out. I don't know. I have no idea why things like that happen, and it just doesn't help us, does it? But again, no. I suppose you've got Humbo because he's got the width. You know, he plays out wide like Malik Wilkes does, supposedly does. Then we bring Jack Holmes on the other winger and play him down middle. I don't get it. I don't understand. God. And like I said, they may train that way. They may have some. He may have some brilliant technical insight as to why these, or him or Evans or Rayner may well have some brilliant technical insight as to why these decisions are made. But there's no rhyme or reason to it for us as supporters, not being professionals, obviously. I thought I'd get that in because Powerman's not here. You know, I don't know. I don't understand, and it doesn't help. The net result of it is our pretty gutless performances, really, against teams who are way, way down the league. Teams who, if you want to be competing up anywhere near the top end, you have to be beating. I mean,
I wouldn't say you have to be beating them, but you have to be outplaying them. You have to be playing better. You know, if we'd have played well and lost 1-0, we could all accept that.
I'm not going on teams like Orient. That's not what I'm saying. My point is that, you know, teams who are down the bottom of the league or struggling for form, those are the teams that you need to be going, attacking, and getting points from.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
We're not even close. Not even.
Well, that's
close.
what I mean. If we were positive on front foot, making chances, just being positive in general, and we'd have lost 1-0, this show would be completely different. Yeah. And that's the issue, isn't it? That's the problem. It's the way we're playing. We can all accept defeat. We're Rotherham fans. We've experienced defeat quite a lot. We can deal with it. It's fine. It's not fine, but we can deal with it. It's the manner of the performances which is causing the problems and causing the anger and the frustration and everything else. The manner of it is the issue.
Do you know, Matt? I don't even think it. I think it's more than that now. I think it's more than that. The most frustrating part about it for me is that we're not even looking to change tactically. There is no desire, or there appears to be no desire to change how we are setting up and how we play tactically with and without the ball. There's no desire to do that. You know, when we're into the old definition of insanity, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yeah, we're not even getting close. You know, there's not even a bit of an improvement that you would expect, that you would hope would be there to give you an indication that we might get a different result. It's just not happening. And Harry, I get you. I've got your comment now, and I get it now. Sorry about that, mate. John's with us. He's been upsetting some Mansfield fans. So I think it was a great time in League One. Winning every week and upsetting other fans, having a great time. That's my boy, John. Well done. Congratulations.
He also says he heard Steve Evans' interview. He clearly watches this show as it was such a secret dig at Mick.
Which Mick?
I don't know. Let us know, John, which Mick. And Matt Miller says, yes, and Cambridge was the game on this podcast which was forecast to be a turning point. I would change forecast to hope it would have been a turning point. We decided to be positive for a week. It didn't work. Not work.
I think the other thing about the team as well is that if you put this team against the team that last went up from League One and you compare them player for player, I mean, it's not even a competition, is it really? No. And even in regards to investing in the team and a player and a manager and people to support and people to get behind. I mean, I love doing this podcast. I think it's great. But if I didn't do this podcast, I would probably not have gone to the game. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably watch it half-heartedly. I mean, there's no. I'd still watch it as often as I could, but I wouldn't put much money in, much effort in, because there's nothing to get behind. There's no football that's interesting. There's no players that I'm hoping succeed. There's no manager I'm really backing. It's really a case now of that. There's nothing. I'm falling out of interest with the club and everything that's going on, and what the performances on the pitch aren't helping. How the manager reacts isn't helping. It's just all about it. It's just. I don't know what we need, but we need something. We need a.
What is that FA Cup next week? I'm considering whether it's worth paying 14 quid to watch that, even at home, even when there's no travelling involved.
I know.
I'll probably still go.
Yeah,
but
you're less likely.
You've never had it bad, have you? You've never had it really bad.
Well, that's what I keep going back to. That's fair. No, that is fair, because I haven't. Oh yeah, Matt's. Oh yeah,
I've seen some bad times.
You've had a few, yeah.
Wait, hold on. Are you considering yourself a young fan?
Well, not youngish.
Because no offense.
Tom, I can check you out. I can be sure.
I'm kidding. I jest. But yeah, no, I do agree. I've personally never seen hardships quite. I've only seen us on an upward trajectory, and when it was the best it's been for 20 years. So yeah, I completely understand that this is all part of life, and so I'm more than happy to be along for the ride. But yeah, it's not a nice feeling when I don't feel as engaged with the club and I don't feel as invested in the players. It's not a nice feeling, but I'm sure it'll come to pass and everything will work out. But yeah, as of now, it's like it's really difficult to get invested. But we'll still try. We'll still be here.
Tom, I agree with you. I feel exactly the same. You know, motivation is it's difficult to motivate yourself to go to games. It's difficult to motivate yourself to talk positively about your football club. It's hard. It really is hard. And it's made worse by the success that we've had over recent years. So, you know, but these sorts of times when things aren't going so well, and if it continues in the same vein, it's not forced to. You know, it makes the good times sweeter when they arrive. Because they do arrive.
Yeah, definitely. I'll completely agree. That was dramatic, but yeah.
No, you're right though, and I think a lot of people are feeling that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I agree with you both. Mike Mills says ageism is rife on this podcast.
Yes, it is, Mike. You should, Mike. If you were part of our group chat, then I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Where's Danny when we need him?
John Burrell, the wheels have fallen off this season now. Matt has been called old.
I didn't say old.
Just not young.
I implied old.
Yeah. I think where positivity does need to be projected, Tom, I think is Zach Jules. I'm going to ignore what Steve Evans said post-match about his circumstances, but he came in less than an hour before kickoff, not knowing he was meant to be playing, and came in and was super solid. By no means perfect. I'm not saying he's next best thing, but that's the kind of performance you can kind of get on board with and say, right, okay, he's a solid, quiet defender. That was good. I was quite happy with. I was really happy with his performance.
Yeah. I think you know last season when we used to do the best thing that happened that game. I think the best part of that game was seeing him injured, go off, and then come on at left wing as he was coming on and get the ball chucked to him and just see what happened. And it was so good. It was like, what the hell is going on here? But I agree. I thought he was. I wouldn't go as far to say it was excellent because I don't think anyone had an excellent game, but it was steady, and it was a steady performance. That now McCart is confirmed to be out for however long, and we've got Raggett not back. I'm not pushed to think. I'm not concerned with him being in instead because I think he's super solid player, quick across the floor, good in the air. On the ball, it's, I don't think any League One defenders are fantastic on the ball, but he does a decent job at his passing. Like you say, he needs some confidence and now he knows he's going to be in that 11. I think the performances will start to come. I think he's a really solid defender, and he's got some height and a bit of a muscle to him, and he's someone that won't be bullied by a bigger striker, which I think is a downside of McCart, is that even though he's meant to be the bigger and badder, he gets outbiggered and outbattered. So it's I think he'll prove to be a good League One defender, and as we see with a lot of players, they only get better over time, and minutes and sharpness. So I expect the same thing to happen with him.
Yes, absolutely. We should send positive vibes to him as well. Bear in mind what Stephen said post-match. He's been through a tough time.
Yeah.
Everything positive is with Zach Jules, because obviously that is a very, very tough time. And to kind of still represent the club in the way that he did on Tuesday night shows what kind of personality he is. Never mind in terms of his technical ability, he was still able to put in that kind of performances, bear in mind the few months he's had. So I think he deserves a lot of praise for that. And hopefully he stays fit. I know he went down injured, but hopefully he does stay fit and get a run in the team. McCart's that injured rag. It doesn't sound like he's much close to being better. So hopefully for Jules' sake, he can get a bit of a run in the team, because I think it'll be really, really good for him. But obviously, we'll be playing games.
I think he just cramped up the other night, didn't he? I think.
Hopefully so. Richard in the comments says he's been watching Miller since 1969, and his desire to go on Saturday isn't there. So you're not on your own, Tom. We're not
but I don't think I was even a thought at 1969. So I'll remain that I was dramatic.
That's just passive aggressive ages and that.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I meant more. I don't think I have I have a leg to stand on in regards to feeling down.
Scott Kent says that Dawson, Holmes, and Jules were the only three decent on Tuesday. I'd love to see Donald Duck save the second one. Yeah, that was another stupid comment from him, wasn't it? Someone does something really good and you call him Donald Duck. Oh, Jesus, come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really
pivot to another negative, Mick, and this is for me. This is quite a big negative. Odoffin and his performances of this season have been a huge concern for me, because when we came down, I was thinking, okay, well, if we can keep hold of Hacks, then we've got something here, because he's a huge threat in that kind of advanced midfield position. His physicality, his everything that he can bring is such a threat. And we've just not seen it so far this season. It's really, really strange, where Hacks under Taylor was one of those where you kind of pull the string and let him go, and he's amazing. Yeah. Whereas now it's just not there. And I don't really get it, to be honest with you. It's a really strange downturn in performance from a really, really good player.
Yeah. Cheers. That's
cool.
Just that. I just wonder whether Hakeem Odoffin is one of those players that needs an arm around his shoulder. I don't think that, and I might be wrong, obviously we don't know the bloke, but it strikes me as the kind of player that will not respond positively to being screamed at and shouted at and criticised and heavily criticised. I don't just mean, I just feel that perhaps that might be part of it. You've also got, as Scott's just mentioned in the comments there, he's thinking of his future. I think you talked about something earlier on this evening, talking about Hakeem Odoffin being potentially out of a job. He's playing for a job because his contract runs out in the summer, and is he looking to go somewhere else? Does it, particularly if he is that kind of player who's not going to respond well to the Evans Rayner method of coaching, if that's the right term. But he's not his usual self. Harry's put in the comments there, he's a way better centre back. He certainly has been under Evans. When he has played centre back, he's been more positive there. But the player under Matt Taylor, that player who's played in behind the front, scored us goals, caused absolutely all sorts of problems. All sorts of problems. He's just not there. And it is a worry. It is a worry, because Hakeem Odoffin is a quality footballer, particularly at this level. He can cut it at championship level. So at this level, he should be he should be performing a lot better. So I don't know what the issue is there. You could start talking about the rumours of discontent in the squad if you want, but there's no indication that that's the case at the moment. But again, if the way the manager performed on Tuesday night and his post-match continues, and I'm sure there will be sooner or later. Don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, he is definitely off at the moment.
Yeah, and people talk about a lack of goals. Hack's not scoring is a reason for that.
Yeah.
If this is Hack's from 18 months ago, he's got 4 or 5 goals already this season.
Yeah.
And then how many more points does that equate to? That's probably 6 more points, whatever it is. So he should be one of our main threats.
Particularly at this level. He should be having. It should be a lot higher up that league table in terms of scoring.
I completely agree. Anything else on the Leyton Orient game? We need to have a quick chat about the return of Alex Revell on Saturday. Anything else we need to mention from Leyton Orient? Or we ticked everything off? God, I hope we have.
Yeah, I'm pretty content with it. Actually, I'm very, very surprised that Hungbo didn't get game time again.
If we had more time, we would absolutely covered Hungbo because I think it's mind-blowing that he's not coming on instead of Cohen Bramall. Just mind-blowing. I like everything Mick said about Cohen Bramall's right, that he's done well, but Joe Hungbo's a specialist left winger, it seems. And you play on the left back there. It's just mind-blowing.
Again, you've got to talk about tactics and decision-making, and that is down to the manager and the manager only. And maybe there's something that we don't see, but that's the only thing I'm going to say on that, because I know we don't have time to properly cover it all.
Absolutely. All right, Stevenage. This is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a really, really tough game. Now, the positives are that Stevenage have players out injured. Again, you'll hear from the scouting report, there's 3 or 4 players out injured. Is it Pierre Gianni, their centre half, their kind of captain fantastic? He is out suspended, which is really good news. He is a really, really good centre half and a proper leader, which I think Steve Evans brought into Stevenage, which I'm surprised they didn't say today. But yeah, it's going to be tough. They've had a decent start. They've had some really, really good results. They've just beaten Mansfield away, and Mansfield have had a great start to the season, but then they lost at home to Cambridge on Tuesday. So it's funny. They're only 2 or 3 points ahead of us. But this game's fun.
The game behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
I love a game that's got some subplots and a bit of an extra narrative around it, and this is full of it, isn't it? Alex Revell's first game against the club where he's a legend as a manager. Steve Evans against his former club, where I think some of the players that fell out with Steve Evans are now back in the Stevenage team. Steve Evans is under pressure because what happened on Tuesday. It's great. I love these games. Love them, mate. They're just great. This is the fun part of football. Whatever happens on Saturday, you can write a headline about whatever happens. Whoever wins, whatever it is. There's a headline coming out, and it adds to the game for me. I am looking forward to the game. It'll be terrible, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the post-match should be interesting then. could probably write that now. Could probably write a couple of scenarios out and we can just read them out afterwards. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. You're absolutely right. And the way we're playing, we're going to struggle. I think we are going to struggle unless we play with some width and we play players where they should be playing and so on. The same old chat that we have every podcast, every match preview. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a tough game. But it'd be great to see Alex Revell back. I would have preferred to see him in our dugout this season, Evans in Stevenage as well. I'll be perfectly honest with you. We did set up, when Evans came. Let's wait and see, but I don't think we're going to get anything out of the game. I'll be honest.
I'm not going into any kind of positivity in terms of result-wise. I'm just kind of looking forward to the game itself. There's going to be a bit of needle in it, I think.
Yeah, I think there's every likelihood, particularly as you say, if there are players that Alex Revell's now brought back into their squad that Evans dropped. Players like, I don't know, for example, if the same thing happened to Joe Hungbo or a Song, players who've got ability and are young and keen and eager and willing to take players on and play exciting football. Those kinds of players, if they've come back into the Stevenage squad, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Top Ketley says, come on, lads, let's be ambitious and hopefully brilliant. Revell there had to be taken. John Morell says Steve Evans has got his excuses ready in already, saying the team was built by him. Heavy metal, yeah. Evans will take credit for Steve. He set this up Tuesday night, didn't he? We kind of Stevenage being a tough team to break down. And how big a game is this, Tom? Because we are 5 points off the playoffs, 4 points off relegation zone. It's a home game, so every home game you should be looking to win. Even against Birmingham, you should be trying to be positive and trying to win the game. You're not going to win them all, but you should be trying to win them all and kind of expecting a positive result. How big a game is it? Are you concerned about it?
Concern, no. Big game, possibly. It's so tough to say at the minute because, like we said before, I mean, before Tuesday, I think we were all pretty positive about performances going in the right direction.
Yep.
And, results clearly aren't going the way that we'd hoped, but it was positive performances. And then to now go, after one game, to now go, how big of a game is this? Because is Evans' job on the line, etc., etc. Really, really quite a leap. And I don't think anyone will disagree that it's quite a leap, that it's plausible. I'm going to be optimistic here and say it's not as big a game as we are possibly making it out to be. But I do think that this is a must-win game by any means necessary. And I think even if we play well and lose 1-0, I think it's still not a good step. I think this is a game that you need to put points on the board. You need the home fans behind you because it can get very, very toxic if we either lose or if we play bad. Therefore, the only option is to win. And if we win by playing bad, so be it. Fans will still be happy. If we lose by playing well, I don't think it will matter. I think fans will still be upset. And then that toxicity will flow into the next game and the next game and the next game. So in regards to it being big now, yeah, sure, because it's not a must win, but I think to keep fans on board, I think it is a win or win by any means necessary type game, which is different to a must win. I think it's not a must win. If we lose, it's fine, but it's for fans to get back on board, we do need to win. But yeah, I will be. I'm going to be optimistic until an hour before when I see the team sheet. Because if I see the team sheet again and it's unchanged or it's set like narrow or anything like that, I won't back us in the slightest. And that's not to say that we won't go out and do something good. I don't think that playing narrow suits our players. It doesn't work. It could suit anything. The players don't know how to play it. Players aren't getting the best out of themselves by playing it. It doesn't work in any respect of the word. Honestly, even a back three would work at this point. If you just play Jules, Humphreys and a Dauphin, I think that might even be the best option with Bramall wide left and Rafferty wide right, even though I don't think that's the best option. I just think don't lose more than must win, because if we play well and draw, I can live with that. If we play well and lose, I think a lot of fans won't be able to deal with that. Me included, probably. But yeah, I think it's a must win at any means. Must not lose at any means, by any means.
Yeah. After some of the comments from the Wrexham fans were in the end useful. Not many of them, obviously, but they suggested that if we thought that Wrexham were kind of bad at the dirtying of the game, then Stevenage were much worse when Wrexham played Stevenage. So that will be interesting to see if that's Wrexham being Wrexham and just kind of being them, or whether there's actually some truth to that, to Stevenage being a bit, I don't know what the word is, Gareth Ainsworthy. We'll see.
Back into this.
Sam says, like, we'll have something to prove. Yeah, of course he will. Exactly. He'll want to prove something against his former club, against Steve Evans as the man who kind of helped him progress, I assume, as a person, as a coach, as a manager. And Evans won't want to let Revell get one over him. As much as I'm sure they do respect and like each other, There's no way Evans will want Revell to get a win, and no one in a million years. So again, subplots, love it. Ref Watch, Matt Mills correctly says, great to see Sonny Singh Gill follow his dad's footsteps here. He says his dad was Jarnell, was a really good football referee 15 years ago. We had Sonny Singh Gill last year. Now I can't remember what game it was, but he was blooming brilliant.
Yes,
he was one of the best refs we had last year. I will add to that other fans of other clubs, I think I did a Wednesday game or somebody else, and they said he was a terrible referee. Might not have been Wednesday, might have been somebody else. So let's see which one we get. Let's hope it's the same one we got last time, because he was really, really good, to be fair, last time.
Yes, he was.
Prediction League, still got the same one from last week because nobody got anything correct. I thought Ben predicted a Leyton Orient win, but he didn't. Everybody went for a win or a draw.
The one time he doesn't go for a 1-0 loss.
No, exactly. So yeah, that's that. So predictions we have in so far. Joy has gone 2-1 to us. Ben has gone 2-1 to Stevenage. Kev has obviously gone for 3-0. And Danny has gone for a 1-0 Stevenage victory. Mick, you are still top because nothing's changed.
Yeah, it's a tough this one.
Very tough.
It is a tough bit. My head says that Ben's probably got the right score there at a 2-1 victory to Stevenage. I think arguably he's probably got it, but I'm gonna try and be optimistic. I'm gonna try and be positive, and I'm gonna try to spin that one around and say 2-1 win to us.
Okay. So based on nothing, you've gone for a 2-1 win.
Yeah, because I just don't see. I have. I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to rid myself of my Mr. Negative name tag and be positive.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Fair enough. Tom, you are still second, still within shooting distance of Mick. What do you reckon?
Win by any means, 2-1.
2-1. That means three of you have gone 2-1, which could be. If we win 2-1, there's points going out, but it doesn't really matter because nobody's catching anybody. Yeah, we'll go through the comments. Who are the predictions in a minute? What I will say next week with the international break and the FA Cup coming up, we're going to redo a mailbag episode because they were fun and happy. So if you want to start getting your mailbag questions in, don't put them in the live comments because I can't save those. So if you email us rufcpod@gmail.com, send them through to there. We will pick them up and collate them, and it'll probably be in the international break. But who knows with the FA Cup going on? We might have a bit more time to do stuff on that episode as well. But just let's get those in as well. So yeah. Predictions: Matt Mill says 1-1. Steve Gunner says 1-2. Christopher says 3-1 to the Millers, as does Kaylee Wilson. John Manns goes 3-0 to Stevenage.
Oh, John.
Oh dear. Martin Holland says 2-0. 0-0. Sorry, Martin Holland. Richard says 2-0 to us. We can dream. Harry says 2-1 to Stevenage. Paula Rhodes goes a very dull 0-0. Andrew Langley, an uninspiring 1-1. And Chris Page says 1-0 to Stevenage. Scott Kent saying that Sonny Singh Gill did the 5-2 win over Cardiff. So there you go. Thank you very much, Scott, for giving us a bit of details on that one.
Feels like a million miles away, doesn't it, that?
Yeah, it does.
How promisingly looked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I talked to Gab and I talked to the preview for the Stevenage one. They kind of go, what were they feeling in the summer? It just feels like a million. That positivity and those positive vibes from the summer just feel like a million miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, we don't really like being negative. It's quite tiring talking negative crap all the time. But we chose to support Rotherham United. Not only did we choose to support Rotherham United, we chose to do a podcast and talk about it twice a week. So we've only got ourselves to blame. Yeah.
In my defense, I joined when it was good. Not the podcast, the football.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, you did. The podcast has been some great times and some horrific times so far. Not the worst of times. We've had the admin time.
There's a positive correlation between me joining and performances dropping. So
yeah, you slacked me.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Anything else? Hour 15. We've gone long, as you probably expected.
We could probably go for another hour 15, in all honesty.
We probably could. We're not going to, but we could.
We should
Yeah. As I said, the scouting report will be up tomorrow. That's from the Stevenage FC podcast. That's a good 15 minutes about. It talks about the Steve Evans leaving and the Alex Revell taking over and everything else. A few players to watch out for as well. In the players that are missing here, Matt lets us know. The instant reaction will be out on Saturday evening as well. So if you want to get upset about that, you can make sure you check in on Saturday afternoon. No Wrexham fans to get upset about this time. So any Rotherham fans, can you fill the void and make sure you get upset about our opinions? That'd be really, really helpful if you could tell us how stupid we are at Saturday afternoon after we've lost 3-0. That'd be really, really helpful if you can do that. So thank you for doing that.
Some of this hurts me. Some of these comments really cut me. I can't tell you.
Yeah. And then Sunday we're back. So 4 episodes in 4 days, as there often is on a home game. So back Sunday evening as well to review this game. And then the FA Cup. I don't care what you all say. I'm really excited for the FA Cup next week. Because I just love the competition. It's great. Yeah. Mick, thank you very much. You didn't have anything else, did you?
No. Yeah. Paul Rayner. We'll talk about
Paul
that.
Rayner.
And
Yeah. Steve Evans were banned. So that's teamwork, though, to be fair, isn't it? In fairness, that's good teamwork.
Yeah.
If you're banned, your mate's going to upset the referee in your stead. So
Yeah.
Good work. Good work, Paul Rayner. Well done.
We're so proud.
Anything else, Tom?
Nope. Just hope for the best.
Hope and pray for the best. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you've subscribed on YouTube as well. We've seen the numbers shoot up over this last month or so. Thank you all for being with us. I don't know what else to say, to be honest. I'm tired now. We do really appreciate everybody that's with us every week and comments in the live comments and the post stuff as well. Thank you very much. We will see you all next time, and thank you very much for being with us. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
I think I always made the comment that once a Miller, always a Miller.
Revell, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! Good Evans, he's done it again! Another promotion for the big man.
I've got 12 bottles of champagne in my office and we're going to drink them all night.
Do me a favor, drop me off in